Hey, this is Crow for SportsCrapology.com, coming to you from our offices in Knoxville, Tennessee, where it's 21 degrees right now. It's supposed to be about 11 degrees tomorrow morning, and it's snowed twice in the last 24 hours here in Knoxville, which is unusual for Knoxville. Put that down a little bit for you, the laptop screen. I don't think I'm even going to need to read anything off these boards today, off the screens, but put that down so you can see my wonderful face. See the scruffiness here of the rural areas. If you're in a rural area, you gotta have kind of a beard. Alright, anyway, we'll get out of the Knoxville stuff. Anyway, we're talking about the NFL draft here today. We have videos out there, an overview of the draft, rating the quarterbacks, rating the offensive linemen, the tackles and the guards and the centers, some information on them. We're going to give you some information on the defensive tackles now in the draft. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how many pure defensive tackles are in the draft. They're put in, some guys as defensive linemen, but when you look into them, research them, they're 250 pounds and they're actually like pass rushers. They're like what they call edge rushers now. They're defensive ends or outside linebackers that are put in there mostly to rush the passer. That also have the ability maybe to cover a tight end or someone on the backfield maybe. But anyway, we have defensive tackles. We rated 20. We put our top 20 defensive tackles that are in the draft. And because we figure you need 2 defensive tackles, right, each team. So instead of giving you like top 10, we gave you top 20. I could tell you actually how many defensive tackles are in the, well, no, because they have some, they call them defensive linemen, they have some edge rushers mixed in. But there's probably around 75 to 80 defensive tackles, interior defensive tackles on the draft. So anyway, we're going to go right into it. And like we said before in other videos, if you draft a defensive player out of Ohio State or maybe Texas, Tennessee had a good defense, Georgia, some of these college teams, you're probably going to get a pretty solid defensive player. I mean, these guys played the top-rated defenses in the country. They did well. Their defenses performed well. They probably had a top-tier coach because those schools, big schools like that generate a lot of revenue for football, tend to have spend money on top-tier coordinators and head coaches. But anyway, defensive tackles in this draft coming up. Draft is April 24th to April 26th, Green Bay, Wisconsin. It'll be televised on ESPN and the NFL Network. And first round will be Thursday night. Second and third round will be Friday night. And then Saturday will be rounds 4 through 7. So our top defensive tackle is pretty much like everybody else's that's doing any kind of mock drafts. Is Graham out of Michigan. He's 6'3", 320. Our number 2 defensive tackle is Nolan. He's 6'3", 293 out of Mississippi. Maybe if I was an NFL general manager, I might pick Nolan over Graham. It's real tight. And Grant, the other Michigan defensive tackle, is right up there too. 6'3", 342. It's big, just big run stopper. Harmon out of Oregon, he's 6'5", 310. It's our number 3 choice, our number 4 choice. Number 5, we have Williams out of Ohio State. He's 6'3", 327. He did a lot of run stopping for Ohio State in their move to the national championship. National championship defense. Then Collins out of Texas, 6'5", 320. I think we have both the Texas defensive tackles in here, which we should. They played very solid defense last year. Sanders out of South Carolina, he's 6'4", 284. NFL, if he plays tackle, they might put 15 pounds on him, maybe. Lott out of Tennessee. Tennessee had a very solid defense last year. He's 6'2", 295. He did a lot of the run stopping for Tennessee up the middle, clogged up the middle on defense. Turner out of Texas A&M. He's 6'4", 300. Then we got Birch out of Oregon, 6'6", 295. We got Peebles out of Virginia Tech, the Hokies. He's 6 foot 290. Then we got Phillips. Phillips out of Maryland. He's 6'1", 320. Big run stopper. The Florida State guy, Farmer, 6'3", 315. Mills out of Notre Dame, 6'5", 295. We have him ranked 15th. I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up being maybe in the top 10. Notre Dame defensive players tend to translate to the pros very well. We have Boughton out of Texas, the other defensive tackle, 6'4", 305. They had a very solid defense this year. We have kind of a dark horse guy at 17. We have Alexander out of Toledo, the Rockets. He's 6'4", 305. He dominated the MAC. He dominated all the tackles in the MAC. So, and he's looked good on his, 40-yard dash and the lifting the weights and all that stuff they do, the strength tests. So we got him 17. 18, we got Jones out of LSU. He's 6'5", 290. 19, we have Pegues, Pegues, out of Mississippi, 6'2", 325. I watched this guy play, and I still don't know how to pronounce his name. I watched him play for like 2 or 3 years, maybe. And our number 20, we have Cross out of Notre Dame, 6'1", 290. And a lot of people have him ranked lower, but we bumped him up there because he did play at Notre Dame, and he played for Al Golden, the Notre Dame defensive coordinator. And like I said, you could probably pick a guy out of Notre Dame and probably get a pretty good guy, because Al Golden's now the defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's our top 20 defensive tackles. You may see some of these guys go in the first round. Nolan's a terror. He can make some of these guys can make a big difference in your defense, and you can plug them in right away. I think Nolan you could. Graham out of Michigan, probably Grant out of Michigan. Williams, Ohio State. Collins out of Texas. Maybe Sanders out of South Carolina. You might be able to plug these guys in right away at defensive tackle, and they'll at least stop the run for you. And some of these guys are decent pass rushers too. Some of these guys that are 290 are still fairly quick. Some of them are like 6'5", 290, and they're just as strong as a defensive tackle, as a 320 defensive tackle, but they're quicker. And they can actually get around their blocker and get some pass rush on. But that's our defensive tackles. I'm Crow for SportsCrapology.com. Thank you for watching. You can see us on YouTube at Sports Crapology. You can see us on our website at SportsCrapology.com. And this video will be up there. It'll be on YouTube. We'll have one on the wide receivers, and we'll have one on edge rushers. What they call edge rushers now. They're basically outside linebackers that like to rush the passer, or defensive ends that they put in just on passing downs to rush the passer. Mike Parsons types. Abdul Carter is probably the best in this draft, in the 2025 draft out of Penn State. So those type players. Thank you for watching. Once again, go to SportsCrapology.com, go to SportsCrapology on YouTube. And this is Crow, and we'll see you next time with edge rushers, probably, and then wide receivers. And I think that'll be it. We're not going to give you any review on kickers in the draft, I don't think, or any other specialists. Oh, running backs. We might do some running backs. But if you don't get Ashton Genty out of Boise State, you're pretty much, you don't have it. Now, Ollie Gordon's pretty good too. Anyway, see you next time.